warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I noticed that our attendance is not full because we only have like 33 people here, and there are 443 people. So 10 more people, around 10 more people are missing. Okay, but we're going to go through our class, and I don't want to wait anymore. Yeah. For those who are late, let's can I see your faces? Because at least a few of you, most of you, I want to see your faces, because you know it is hard enough that we have to have this class from a very long distance, huh? So you know, if I can see your faces, it will help me also to gauge your understanding of the subject. So let us have a look at our lesson, and I want to start off with the quiz. Not anything marked. I just want to ask you several questions to know whether you have understood what we have learned so far, and to tell you that there will be a quiz also on Tuesday. For you, yes, it's on Tuesday, but I will. The quiz is on Itaklim after the break, and you have the opportunity to answer the quiz on Monday. On Monday before our class, yeah? Monday, and then and I will close this quiz from submission on Tuesday at 12 p.m. Okay, at night. So you can submit your answers on Monday and on Tuesday, 2 days, and then we will review your answers in our when we have the next class on Thursday. Okay, so the quiz will question you about the theories from starting from humanism to structuralism and post-structuralism only. It won't be covering psychoanalysis. Okay, so I want to ask you several questions about our lesson today. You know, first of all, when we had that, when we underwent our first week of study, we were looking at humanism. Okay, humanism is a way of knowing about this world, and then saying that we know about this world from our senses, yeah, and we formulate from our senses, we formulate the information that we have obtained through our mind. Okay, now that is according to the humanists. Now, the theory that came after humanism was more objective, in the sense that it says we know about this world not from our senses only, but you know, it is from our knowledge of our language. Our language structures our knowledge of this world. So it's not about knowing about knowing this world from our senses. It's not about that. We don't really we apprehend from our senses certain things, but we tend to know more from our language. Our language teaches us how to think. Okay, so who can tell me who founded this idea that language picks us in the structuralist theory? Who founded this idea? Who was the first to found this idea? Who is this Ali Ikram? Ali Ikram, he keeps on leaving the class, right? Yeah, I think I would like to know who Ali Ikram is. It's not here, any one of these names here. Maybe he's off to his toilet or something like that. Okay, but he should be here. Yeah. Now, who can tell me who founded the idea of structuralism? Who said that language structures our knowledge of this world? Can somebody tell me? Who was the first? Yes, Ferdinand de Saussure. Okay, that's true. Ferdinand de Saussure. And he appeared in the 20th century. Before that, we only had structuralism, right? Okay. Now, what did Ferdinand de Saussure said about our language? What is it? Or at the level of word? Oh, I see. Okay. Um, what did he say about language at the level of words? For a word, no, a word exists because there is, because it is a signifier, right? A signifier that has connection to a signified, a concept. Okay. Now, the signifier could be a word that, a word in the form of a speech when you say a word or when you write a word, right? Now, this relationship between signifier and signified, what type of relationship? Is it a direct relationship? Is there a solid direct relationship between the signifier and signified? Or is it something else? Is it arbitrary? Okay,
Arbitrary.
arbitrary because a signified, for example, can have what?
Many signifiers.
Many signifiers. Many signifiers. Okay, the many signifiers actually came after. Yeah, it can have many signifiers, but for structuralists, they like to believe that a word, a signifier, has a few signifiers, but not many. Okay, so um, a word, a signified concept can have many words signifying it, many signifiers. Okay, um, that it's true also that a signifier can have, or a signifier a word can have a few signifiers, not just one, but they prefer a one-to-one relationship such as this. So, what about parole and lung? What is a parole? What is parole and what is lung? Um, parole is word, okay, and lung is, who knows what lung is? Language.
Language.
Parole is word, lung is language. So parole can also be one unit, and lung is a system. What do you call that? Signifying signifying system. Okay, so it can be that also. At the level of philosophy, it is that parole is one unit within a larger philosophical system. Okay. Now, how does one parole gain value from other paroles? How does it gain value or gain meaning from other paroles? Should it be similar or should it be different from other paroles? Similar or different?
Different.
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 Okay. So Zawana here is different from Irshad. It's different from Nurain. If you all are the same, your name will be the same. It's very difficult, right? To distinguish, to distinguish between one of you from the other, to distinguish between one and the other. Yeah. So you have to be different from each other in order to gain value. Okay. Now this is what Ferdinand de Saussure said, and he was also interested in the way we um, organize our paroles, our words, no, in our head. There are two ways. He said the first is um, syntagmatic, yeah, where we organize according to the grammar of our language. For example, in English we have SVO, subject, verb, object. Okay, so through this organization, we understand the meaning of the sentence. For example, a cat sat on the mat. Uh, it's different from the mat sat on the cat. So the way we what do you call that, organize the words or paroles are very important also. Another type of organization is, what is the other type of
Associative.
associative. Why? Because we associate one word with another word, yeah, based on the spelling, and then based on what, something that is something like what we like, what we hate, and so on. So we have organizations like that, and this allows for literature to be understood by the readers. When you say that a word, for example, like a rose, the poet mentions a rose in this poem, you understand that the word can be connected to a lady or to England, for example, because England's national flower is a rose, the English rose. Okay, so it allows us to make connections like that. So then we come across another theory, which is post-structuralism. In post-structuralism, um, it says that what did it say about the signifying structure? Post-structuralism is founded by Jacques Derrida, right? And Jacques Derrida said that because he takes this away from the level of language to the level of philosophy, falsafah, yeah, and the level of philosophy is talking about life in general, not just words and signifiers. They're talking about something else also in the way we think. So, what did he say about signifying structures in a society? What does it constitute? What is inside the signifying structures? A patriarchal society, in a society. We're talking about Western society. So at this? What is at the center of the signifying structure? Can anyone? Can you answer that?
Um, at the center is the patriarchal society.
Yes, the patriarchal society, the society itself, the one that came up with the language. Okay. Now, what is the language composed of? What is the signifying structure composed of? If it has the center, then what surrounds the center? What surrounding the center? Again? Yeah, but what is? How do we know? Um, how do we know that how do you know about this world? We have language, but the language tells us how to think. But what are the words that exist in the language? What is the relationship that they have to each other? Binary oppositions. So surrounding the center would be binary oppositions. How do you know that you're a woman? Because there is a man, right? The idea of a man is there. Okay, so how do you know that is what is white? White because there are colored colors. There are many colors. One of the colors is white. Okay, how do you know is the concept about good? How do you know what is good is? Because there is bad. Okay, so binary opposition structures the language. Now, what else can we say about this? Now, in this binary opposition, one term is privileged or is given a positive connotation over the other. Okay, so what is the other? What is the one in the study of gender, masculine and slash feminine? So masculine, the term masculine is given a positive connotation over feminine. Feminine has a negative connotation. But masculine, since it is nearer to the center, what does it? How many signifiers does it have? Does it have more signifiers than feminine or less? Does it have less or more?
Is it less?
Yes, it's less because it's nearer to the center. In Western language, Western society, they like signifiers that have less signifiers, okay, over those that have more signifiers, like feminine. So feminine is a term that experiences a lot of movement because it has many signifiers. For example, a woman can wear jeans, can wear skirts, can wear maxi, can wear whatever, jubah and all that, right? So many types of dress. But men can only wear pants. Okay, so this is Western society. Also, we're not talking about Eastern society. When we have a look at our society, men can wear sarong, right? But not exactly skirts, however. But some people in the West think that sarong is equal to skirt. So, okay. So the sound like, yeah, okay. I hope it's okay now. Okay, so I want to open this up because then okay. So then we have this one term that has more signifieds and the less, and the one that has less signifieds that is nearer to the center. Okay. Now this whole signifying system, the center and the binary oppositions, are created by who created it? Signifying system. Can somebody answer me? Who created this signifying system? Afia Jumat. Can you answer this? Hello? Who created this? One Nur Husna. One Nur Husna? Where are these people? Who created this?
Is it Ferdinand, Doctor?
Is it what?
Ferdinand.
Uh, no, it's society. Society that creates it. Yes, society. Yeah. So it is socially constructed, right? Socially constructed. So the signifying structure is constructed by society. So Derrida was arguing, Derrida said that yes, it has a structure, but since the structure, the signifying system and the binary oppositions are created by society, then the structure can be deconstructed. Deconstructed means destroyed. So, yeah. So how does he deconstruct the structure? Is by looking at the terms, the phrase that has less signifieds and giving that a lot of signifieds. For example, he was saying that feminine has many signifieds. Okay, the word feminine has many signifieds. Why not masculine also has many signifieds? So this kind of idea is asking men or those who are masculine, because normally we would think that men are masculine, to be weak as well, be wearing skirts as well. Okay, so it's basically us, those who have less signified, to those who are the closest to the center, to challenge the idea that they have very few signifieds. Okay, so then if you look at the internet, if you Google up everything, you can find men who wear skirts, yeah, and so on. So we live in this age, especially in the West, not so in Malaysia, not so in Malaysia, but we live in the West where, or in the West, there are people who challenge this idea, therefore you get like same-sex marriages where wives are men also, right? Not just women, where husbands are women as well as men. Okay, so the word women there, the word wife there has at least two signifiers, not just one anymore. Okay, so we live in the world that is highly deconstructed. Now we are looking, when we were discussing, when I gave you some slides on humanism, structuralism, and poststructuralism, we were also, I was also adding some ideas for the three theories. Okay, now let's have a look at that. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we have a short quiz at the end of this presentation, so I expect you to answer that quiz, but there's no mark for it. So, and these are some of the additional assumptions of the theories, and one of it is that good literature is timeless. Whenever you have a work of good literature, humanists expect the work to last until the end of until the judgment day, right? It's the work that is considered very good. And up to this day, some humanists also said that Shakespeare, for example, is the most masterful playwright ever to live on earth. So they believe in this idea of timelessness. The good literature is timeless, and then it also contains its own meaning. Yeah. You can understand a work of literature simply by reading it. You don't need to know about the history and so on. So the text will reveal constant universal truths about human nature. Human nature, what is good about human nature, what is bad about human nature will always remain the same. From the time that the text was written until today, it's always the same thing. The purpose of literature is to enhance human life by propagating human values, and the values will be always in the same, and to do so without propagating a certain propaganda, an idea. Yeah, it's just to tell people how to behave, not to try to persuade them to accept Christianity or anything like that. So a literary work is sincere, meaning that it is honest and true to experience. It is valuable also because it teaches you the true nature, your true nature. Okay, and then we come across the next theory, which is structuralism. So more idea about structuralism other than what we already know. Yeah, structuralism exists because it's viewed as being objective, more objective than humanism, because it is asking you to discover how human structure knowledge by looking at words. Yeah. And this objectivity also is a gain from studying more than one work. For example, more than one literary work to understand the structure. Yeah. And to look for patterns and systems. And then also another assumption in structuralism is that there is no genius, there's no concept of genius, because there is no genius writer, because a writer simply takes inspiration from the work that has already been published, and they take their inspiration from existing structures and try to create something new from the existing structure. So structuralism also introduced the idea that language speaks us. Thus, while the humanist model presupposes that there is a real world external to our sensory experience, structuralists say that the way we know this world is through language. If there is no word for a certain concept, the concept does not exist. Okay, so this is the belief of structuralism, and okay, so there is a lot of emphasis on language in structuralism. So here we can get an example. The concept and utterance of I only exists because there is a signifier called I. So it's important for structuralists to believe that words, for example, create concepts in our mind. Yeah, not concepts create words. It's the words that create concept. Okay. So then we have post-structuralism. Also believes in the idea of language, that language speaks us, tells us how to think about this world. But instead of saying that a certain word has limited signifiers, yeah, it says that every signifier can be challenged. Okay, so one word signifier can have many signifiers. Okay, so the idea that one word signifier can have many signifiers can be seen when you come across gender identity, where masculinity has many signifiers according to the post-structuralists, as well as femininity also has many signifiers. National identity can also have many signifiers. For example, if you say that you are Malaysian, what do you mean that you are Malaysian? That you're not from Indonesia? Some people will say that that is not true because most Malaysians come from Indonesia, okay, or most Malays come from Indonesia. So the idea that you are Malaysian is challengeable. Yeah? It can be challenged. Yeah, it is unstable. So everything one thinks or does in some degree is the product of one's experience, one's belief, one's ideology. So this is also talking about ideology, yeah. And one's belief, according to this post-structuralist, is based on one's ideology, one personal conviction, and so on. So it is not right to say that your belief is truer than other people. In a post-structuralist society, everyone's belief is true to themselves. Okay, so you don't have the right to say that your religion is better than other people, or your religion should be the national religion, because in a post-structuralist society they accept all types of religion. Hence in the US you have many types of religion, such as Jehovah Witness, or Seventh-day Adventists, and then Scientology, and so on. So none of this can say that they have the right religion. Everyone else does not have the right religion. Okay, so cannot say that in a post-structuralist society, because all truths are relative. All truths are relative, true according to those people who believe it. All supposedly essential constants are fluid, and language determines reality. There is no such thing as definitive meaning. So all essential constants are fluid. All ideas are fluid and challengeable. Yeah. There is only ambiguity, fluid meaning, and multiplicity of meaning. Um, because of the idea of relativism, there is no such thing as total theory. Total theory is the belief that is truer than other people and will cover everything that a person or any society experience. Like it will cover the origin of man and women, the history of the world, and so on. Yeah? So there is no total theory that will explain everything. Everyone has their own beliefs. Everyone has their own convictions. Nobody can claim that their conviction is better than other people. So who would be saying this? Okay, I want to ask you a question, a set of questions to gauge your understanding. Okay. So who says nobody is wrong, everybody is right in their own way? Who says that? Nobody is wrong, everybody is right in their own way. Who may be saying that?
Could it be humanist?
Nobody is wrong, everybody is right in their own way. Humanist, well, it
Post-structuralist.
okay. It has the humanist. I think this is a kabat KBAT question, because you can see that it could be humanist as well, because it's saying that it has something to do with the self, right? But the more right answer, the better answer is actually post-structuralist, because post-structuralism says that everybody's idea is acceptable to that person, okay, or to individuals. If you believe in certain things, you are not wrong, and you are not right. It's just that your belief is supposed to be your belief. Yeah. So nobody is wrong, everybody is right. Okay. So this is a post-structuralist world. So the answer is actually post-structuralism. You can believe in whatever you want to believe. Nobody can have the right to say that you are wrong. Okay. If they have the right to say they are wrong, that person is saying that there is a truer belief or truer religion than other people's religion are not as true as their religion. But post-structuralists don't believe this. They believe in a world that is not dominated by any singular idea. Okay, so it's post-structuralism. I am who I believe myself to be. Who said this? Humanists, structuralists, or
Humanist,
post-structuralists? Humanists. Humanists said
humanist.
this, yeah. Because they say that I am who I believe myself to be. I believe that. I believe certain things. Then it's true to myself, yeah. So it can be the first one too, but the better answer would be post-structuralist. I am a woman trapped in a man's body. Who said this? I am a woman trapped in a man's body.
Post-structuralist.
Yes. So, while it can be a humanist, you can say that this is my idea about myself. I'm a man, even though I look like a woman. But the better answer would be a post-structuralist because it's challenging the binary opposition. Okay. Anyone could be a best-selling author if she or he has the winning formula. Anyone can be the best-selling author. Yes, structuralist. Why structuralist? Because um, they believe that there is no concept such as genius in writing. Nobody is a genius, born to be a genius writer. No, they produce works by looking at existing structures and accepting those existing structures and adapting it to create something new. Truth is relative. Who said that? Truth is relative. Post-structuralist, yeah. So relativism means you accept that other people also have their own ideas. You don't try to force your idea on other people. Your idea is as true as others. I am because there are those who say that I exist. I am because there are those who say that I exist. Okay, humanist. No, humanist? Is it true? I am because there are those who say that I exist. Structuralist. Yes. Yes, structuralist. Why? Because do what say there? If there is a word, according to the structuralist, if there is a word, then there is a concept for it. If there is no word, then there is no concept. For example, in Malay, in English, we have a word called fuchsia. Fuchsia is a specific color. Yeah. Now, it resembles pink, but it's slightly different. Now, in Malay, we don't have the word fuchsia. According to the structuralist, Malays cannot see fuchsia because there is no word for it. Yeah. But apparently, this is not true. I think you can see the different tones, right? Yeah. We simply do not have a word for it, but we can see it. So this is the what do you call that? The limitation of structuralism. It doesn't really explain this problem here that we can see something but we don't have a word for it. Yeah. So all the theories have limitations because they are created by human beings. So I exist because the word I exist, clearly that is structuralist. Yes, structuralist. Because according to the structuralist, you must have a word, a signifier. Is always accompanied by a signified. If there is no word, then this concept signified does not exist. Okay, so this is the end of the lesson on that: humanism, structuralism, and post-structuralism. Anyone here has any question to ask about this? Have you heard of Popeye? Popeye, the cartoon character. I am what I am. Yeah, I am what I am. It sounds like humanist. I am what I am. Okay, that is what he wants to say. Okay, so now we look at psychoanalysis. Okay, psychoanalysis is founded by Sigmund Freud. Yeah, and this is where he used to treat his patient. Is on a couch. He was a doctor, was interested in the relationship between mental functioning and civilization, because he believed that our mental functioning affects our civilization. And the way that he said our mental side, the way we think actually affects the way we behave and the way society behaves in a way. Because we all a society is comprised of individuals. So in civilization and its contents, it said something about pleasure principle, which is what we like to do what we want to do, what gives us pleasure. And to him, this pleasure is sexual pleasure. So according to him, you know, inside of our unconscious is the desire, or is the sexual desire. Yeah? But we cannot fulfill this sexual desire, because if we did that, then we won't be able to do any work. Yeah. So because of that, we have to subliminate it. We have to repress it, the sexual desire, and so that we can do work. However, when we have suppressed our sexual desire into our unconscious, it doesn't really stay there all the time. It can reach out, or it can appear to our conscious self. So our id, which is what he calls our unconscious self, can appear to our ego, which is our conscious self, through three routes. The first is dream. The second is the second is jokes, and the third is parapraxis. So in dreams, we have something called condensation, where a figure is supposed to represent something, right? For example, if we dream about a rose, for example, or maybe that a good example is a snake. If a woman dreams about a snake, the snake represents a man. Yeah? And then and the man may want to marry the woman. Yeah, that's why the woman is dreaming about the man, or the man wants to court the woman. Yeah. So you may also dream about a sentence such as this: a rose, for example. You may dream about a rose, and then or love is a rose. You know, you better not pick it, and then you realize that rose represents love, represents something else also, maybe represent woman, and so on. So the other kind of dream is that something called displacement, where something smaller means something else which is larger than it. It's just a part of the larger thing, such as the crown. The crown, if you dream about the crown, maybe there is a member of royalty who would want, who is interested in you, and so on. Yeah. So Freud believed in this, and he wrote a book about interpretations of dreams. Yeah, wherein he stated the objects that one might dream of and what they represent. Okay. So then also we have parapraxis, slips of tongue. Freud believed that they are not coincidences. They actually mean something. They tell you what the person is thinking about. And he also said the same thing about jokes. And then he said that jokes actually hide your hostile reaction to something. Maybe you hate somebody, but you cannot tell that person how much hate you have for that person. You joke about him, that you joke about that person, so everybody and maybe that person knows that you don't really like them, but they cannot be angry with you because you told them in the form of joke. So it gets rid of the hostility, direct hostility. And then there is this is basically saying the same thing. And then we have the idea of sexual desire that is being repressed, that is within all of us. According to Freud, we all harbor sexual desires, and this act of harboring sexual desires starts when we were babies, as in the process of nurturing. Okay, getting food from our mother, we experience sexual desire because when we breastfeed from our mother, we experience a certain pleasure, and then when we also expel certain things, our feces, we experience pleasure again. And then finally also it has something to do with sexual pleasure that is associated with our private parts also. So yeah, this is basically that. So then he talks about Oedipus complex, how we become, how people who are born to have sexual desires, or how all of us who are born to have sexual desires for our mother develop feelings for people outside of our family, and then how we become normal human beings by marrying outside of the family. So Freud practice, because he believes he was a doctor to mental patients. So whenever a mental patient come to him to say that they have a problem, he would think that this problem comes from a certain malfunctioning, or kind of like a certain problem with the process that this person has to undergo in order to have or develop feelings for somebody outside the family. Okay, so he was always thinking that this person has sexual desire that cannot be directed to somebody outside the family. Therefore this person is having mental problems. Yeah, so to him it was simple as that. No, um, so he also mentioned about Oedipus complex in order to explain about the sexual process, wherein boys who desire who desire their mothers, yeah, they notice that they have the male equipment, and then and girls do not. Yeah, so uh, their reaction to this is to accept that the girls used to have this equipment, and then she got the father somehow cut it off because of maybe a transgression on the girl's part, and becomes afraid of the father, and therefore he decides to marry somebody outside the family, I think. Okay, I think this. Okay, so he is experiencing, when he fears the father will cut off his equipment, he is experiencing what is called castration complex. So he gives up this desire for the mother in order to marry somebody outside the family, so that he won't become a threat to his father. Now the father figure, the fear of the father, the fear for the father figure creates something called the superego, which is the place where voices of authority and conscience reside. So this superego can take the form of parents, police, the law, and so on. And this is the part that will coordinate the boy's behavior. So you have here three parts in a person. The id is the sexual, which is the sexual desire, and the fact that the id is uncontrollable, a bit uncontrollable. Is, even though it's in one unconscious, right? It's uncontrollable. And super ego, which is the voice in the person's head, telling him what is right and wrong, and trying to control him. And then the ego, which is his conscious self, which tries to balance the id and the super ego. So in this one, I need to do a bit of planning to get it. So the ego plans to get something because the id wants it, but it will require a certain planning, so that no laws will be broken, and the super ego voice will be a peace, Um, so what happens to girls? Because previously you were talking about Oedipus complex. So girls, according to Freud, also experience envy, because they are um, envious of boys because they have the male equipment. Yeah, so they are jealous of boys, and for Freud, a girl can become psychotic and take the normal route, which is to accept the fact that of her castration. Then they develop the sense of her inferiority to the male. She decides her lack of penis is a punishment for some wrongdoing, and she can become angry with her mother because she did not give her one. So this hatred of the mother makes her desire her father, and Freud calls this electoral complex. Okay. So we have also, in addition to Oedipus and Electra complex, yeah, we have something called the phallus. The phallus is simply um, an idea that was introduced by Jacques Lacan, who was a student of Freud. And the phallus is, Lacan said, is the represents male power, male desire, yeah, which is his unconscious. And then it is, in the real world, it takes the form of structures that resemble the male organs. Here you can see the monument, Washington Monument in Washington DC. So here this person is making fun of it, making fun of the sign. And okay, so Lacan says that the boys think they have a chance to be the phallus, to have power. Male desire is equal to male power, and occupy the position of the center because they have penises. So they think that they can control this world because they have power, male power. Girls have a harder time misperceiving themselves as eligible to be the phallus because Freud says they are constituted by an S-like because they don't have the male organ. So the binary opposition that structure Western thought associate boys with penis and presence and order, while girls are associated with lack of penis, absence, and disorder. Okay, so in the late 19th century, Edward Bernays, a nephew of Sigmund Freud, who was the first PR person, public relation person, he developed this idea of Freud to sell cigarettes, to sell cigarettes to women. So he said that the cigarettes were a symbol of the penis and of male sexual power. Women would smoke because it was then that they have their own power in a way. Yeah. So we can see that how the phallus is applied in this what called an instance where a woman, if she has or and holds something that resembles a phallus, supposedly has some form of power. This is how it is, yeah, depicted in what do you call that, advertisements. Now in Hinduism also we have something called lingam, the kind of like symbol of the phallus, and that is worshipped by Hindus in their temples. Okay, here we have a painting that is resembling the phallus, male power. According to the person who is critiquing this painting, this person said that this is like a penis. Okay, so um, that is a short introduction, an introduction to psychoanalysis. Anyone wants to ask me any question? I may be going a bit fast because I don't know. I'm repeating also something that I had put on YouTube. So if you miss anything, you can just see the YouTube video. But I want to ask whether you have any question at this point. Oh, let's see this one first. Okay. Do you have any question? Yeah. Okay. So let's have a look at how it is applied in works of literature. Here we have an example. Now, the first example comes from an article that somebody wrote called, this somebody is Ernest Jones. He was a psychoanalyst. He wrote on Hamlet, a play by Shakespeare, and he associated Hamlet with Oedipus, because he said that Hamlet actually wants to marry his own mother. And like Oedipus, who married his own mother, Hamlet also wants to marry his own mother. But in Hamlet, he has a problem because his uncle also wants, not only wants to marry his mother, his uncle married his mother. after the death of his father. And then the father's ghost comes to Hamlet, saying that Hamlet should avenge his death because he was killed by his uncle. And then Hamlet does not, however, Hamlet does not avenge his death up until the end of the um, play. Near the ending of the play, in the last final act, Hamlet suddenly kills his uncle after a long duel, and then after the death of his mother also. So the problem that Ernst Jones says is that Hamlet should have killed his uncle earlier. Why did he have to wait? Huh? And then he tries to answer this because he said that Hamlet is like his uncle. Both had feelings for his mother, for Hamlet's mother. And so Hamlet thought that he was too much like his uncle, who was a bad person, because he had killed the figure of the good father, his own father. But he cannot completely decide to kill his uncle because his uncle is like him. So no, because both desire them his mother. So he finds himself being similar to his uncle, and this is the problem that Oedipus was facing. So this is the reading, the reading from the psychoanalytical point of view. And then we have another story, the story of Frankenstein. Frankenstein actually belongs to it's actually the name of the doctor who created the monster. The monster does not have a name in the novel. So Frankenstein here, Dr. Frankenstein is the figure of the father because he creates a monster, his son. Okay, his son here is very tall, like he's very tall monster, like a phallic figure, because he's like the building that I've shown you. He's very tall and looks like the male organ, because of his height. Now, the monster is created without any consultation from any other person, so he is uncontrollable. The creator also abandons him in the process of creation, and this phallic figure, this monster, becomes uncontrollable because he has been abandoned by his father. And in the sense, he has been abandoned by his superego, the superego. The it has been abandoned by the superego. So the it is running rampant, doing whatever he likes, causing destruction. And this will end up in the destruction of the superego. In this sense, Dr. Frankenstein's life is destroyed when the monsters start to cause havoc. And the father of Dr. Frankenstein is also is suffered also as a result of this, because the father had a problem with his son, Dr. Frankenstein. Dr. Frankenstein liked to read the works of Cornelius Agrippa, a scientist who believed in that you can recreate a body out of dead body parts. So the father did not like his son to read the works of Cornelius Agrippa, but the son, Dr. Frankenstein, did it anyway, and therefore enacted a form of rebellion to the father. He wants to follow his desire to create something. So in the end, also he created the monster, and that monster ruined his life. And we have something also in relation to the creation of, in relation to the writer herself, Mary Shelley. Some people say that she resembles Electra when she has, when they say that she has desires for her father, but this desire cannot be fulfilled because she is his daughter and she has to marry somebody outside the family. And they make comparisons between her name and her mother's name. Yeah. So this is how you read the poem, how you read literature from this approach. But there are limitations on this. We have the idea that psychoanalysis is based on a myth. Yeah, it is not based on reality. It's based on an idea that or a fictional work. Yeah? However, some people are saying that it cannot be proven wrong because it depends on their unconscious. Nobody knows what is in our unconscious. It's too theory ridden. You can use this psychoanalytical point of view to read literature, but it's not applicable to all types of literature. And it can make unproven assumptions. It can that can be wrong, assumptions that can be wrong. For example, Lewis Carroll, for example, is said to see a gardener in a state of sexual excitement. So how do you know that he is saying the gardener in a state of sexual excitement? Huh? So that's what we have. Okay, does anyone have any question? Does anyone have any question? Evening classes are always the hardest, right? I mean, because maybe you get a bit sleepy after that. But do you have any question about this? Anything anyone wants to ask? No? No question? Okay, can I have a question? Okay. What are the three parts of an individual?
Um, the conscious, unconscious, and superego.
Okay. So do you think that is Islamically approved, the idea of the unconscious and that we are ruled by our sexual desire?
I think the Quran has mentioned some part about nafsu, but I don't think we are driven solely by our sexual desire. So yeah.
Okay. Can I leave you for a while? Okay, I'll leave you for a while. I'll get back to you in 2 minutes. Okay. So I need to set something. Okay. So okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. So let us see also some slides on Islamic response to post-structuralism. Okay. Oh, sorry, Islamic response to psychoanalysis. Sorry about that. Okay, let's just see on this slide here. Um, okay, this is
Doctor,
yeah. Hello.
I have a question. Uh,
Mm,
hello?
what? Hello.
Can
Yes.
you hear me?
Yeah. Yes. Hello. Yeah. Okay, it's okay. I will.
So is this the hello?
Hello. Yes. It
Is
is. The
this the
connection is not right.
theory is
Okay.
purely based on
Yes. It's not. Can you type? Can you type it because it's not clear. The connection is not strong. There's some problem with the connection. Zawiya, is it? Okay, maybe you can type it. Um. Okay. By the way, we'll be looking at some slides on Islamic perception of psychoanalysis. We get this from the writings of Malik Badri, Prof. Malik Badri, which is a very well-known Muslim psychiatrist. Okay, so um, he believes that psychoanalysis is not Islamic, and of course it's not Islamic. You know, there's no scientific verification for a psychoanalysis also, and he tells two stories about how Muslim psychiatrists sometimes do believe in this theory too much. Yeah, and one Muslim psychiatrist, and in his experience, saw a 3-year-old boy who was irritable and scratched his anus, his backside. Quite a lot, you know. So his parents, this psychiatrist said that the boy was experiencing anal stage, the anal stage wherein he gained pleasure by scratching his anus. But it was proven later that the boy was actually suffering from anal worms that cause this itching. So there is no truth, perhaps, to the anal stage theory that was introduced by Freud. And then also another professor, Professor Mustafa Zewar, who said that religion, the belief in religion, is simply an extension of our belief in the superego that controls us. So we need religion in order to substitute it, in order for our father figure to be replaced with it. You know? The father figure is gone when we get older, and therefore we need religion to become its substitute. So to him, this is not true because, you know, our religion, our belief in religion is something that we are inborn with, because we have an inborn tendency to believe in gods. And this is proven by a research that Oxford researchers had done a few years back, which says that children tend to have a belief in unseen things like elves and fairies, even without seeing them. Yeah? So the existence of this ability to believe in something that one cannot see is supportive of the idea of religion, because God created us to believe in something that we cannot see. Yeah? And this belief is called fitra. This way of creation is called fitra. Yeah? So we know that there is a God, and to do good, and we must do good. Is inborn in us. These two things are inborn in us: the idea of the belief in God and the belief that we should be doing good things. So sometimes those two beliefs can be distorted when we are brought up by immoral and atheistic parents, okay? Or parents who fail to educate us in the right way of believing, and so on. So anyone, what is the question that I think Rosaria wanted to answer? Wanted to ask: is this theory solely based on the story Oedipus complex? It's based on Electra complex. Yes, it is based on the story of Oedipus Rex, Oedipus complex. Yeah. So it's highly connected to that story on Oedipus complex. And why did this happen? Because Freud himself had some sexual desire for his stepmother. His real mother died when he was young, so his father married again, and he was married to somebody who was slightly older than Freud. Okay, when Freud was one day, Freud saw his stepmother taking a bath, so he got excited as well as aroused by that sight, and possibly because of that, he sort of thought that everyone else was like that also. So he came up with this theory of Oedipus complex because he saw the similarities between himself and Oedipus and the rest of. He was saying that this is something general, so everyone was feeling it. So you wouldn't use your own example, right? You didn't use yourself as the example for your theory. So he had used Oedipus because Oedipus is more like a cultural thing. Westerners, they're aware of Oedipus complex or Oedipus Rex and so on. Everybody knows Oedipus Rex. the story of Oedipus. So, do you want anyone else has any question?
Doctor, doctor,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
In Oedipus complex, how is a person who is born with two genders being explained? Like in Islam, we refer it as hunsa.
Okay. Okay. I don't think I can hear you clearly.
Oh,
How is a person who was born with what?
two genders, two genders. Hunsa, hunsa.
Oh, Kunsa. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, he doesn't really explain. He explained also only about men. Uh, not Hunsa. Hunsa is yeah. I find it yeah. It doesn't really explain about that. It explains about men only. Yeah. Hunsa is unique, aren't they? They have two organs, both male and female. But for Freud, he was not into biological differences. He was more into mental illness, the mental illness that some people were experiencing, and he said that this was caused by Oedipus complex or Electra complex, something going wrong with the Oedipus complex or Electra complex. If you have Oedipus complex, it's natural, but something must have gone wrong in the process of developing attraction for somebody outside the family. That's why you have this problem. Yeah. If you continue to have attraction to your mother, then you have a problem. You must be able to fulfill all the process um, of castration complex and all that, you know. But it never really explain about biological differences like Kunsa. It doesn't explain about that. Yeah. But he doesn't really explain about women either, about why women marry somebody outside of the family. Yeah. So he was a very male-centric theories, and that's why feminists they took his theory about lack, women lacking the penis, and created their own theory based on that. They wanted to give female also power, like male power, um, but this power is born out of lack, about not having penises. These people they don't believe in God. That's why they came up with this idea that our identity comes from our private parts and so on. No, they don't believe in God. They don't believe that God has given us a specific roles in society. They don't believe in that. So that's why we have this. But you want to say that you are wrong, the post-structuralists, the feminists are wrong, or the psychoanalysts are wrong. They will argue that how do you know I'm wrong, because I'm talking about the unconscious, something that you are unaware of. Okay, so that is their defense. Yeah. So anyone else has any question to ask? No. Okay. So then I will try. I will say this also. Okay. Because I'm typing this. Okay. Okay. So I will see you next after the break. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much for listening to me. Okay. I wish you well. Yeah. And do read the notes and see on Italim. I put the notes on Italim. Okay. So see you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Doctor.
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 Thank
Assalamualaikum.
you, doctor.
Assalamualaikum.